that there are two people listening to this talk that are keen on photography and who are going to be joining me in southern India next year. So I'm very delighted that they're coming and very delighted that they're here to hear the talk. I am a bit biased because I absolutely adore India and had the most wonderful time this year. I was with a friend, Janet, and I will refer to her. And actually, she does pop up on a couple of photographs throughout the talk. So the area that we're in, so this is obviously a map of India. You can see right down at the bottom, there is a little yellow bit, which is Kerala, or a little mustard coloured bit. And then there's a big purple bit, which is Karnataka. And our trip covers both Karnataka and Kerala. We're focused really on an area which you'll probably all have heard of called the Western Ghats. And it's one of the 36 biodiversity hotspots on Earth. I'm going to read a bit about it just to explain it to you. So it runs along the western part of India, and it's bounded by the Malabar Plains along the coast and then by Tamil Nadu on the west. And because there's a lot of variety of rain patterns in the Western Ghats and there's a lot of varied geography, we get a lot of different vegetation and then a lot of different habitat. So we end up with deciduous and tropical rainforest. We got plains and scrub forest and a bit of a mosaic of cloud forest as well. So it's really varied, rolling grasslands and up to a sort of reasonable height. So actually this trip goes up to, I think, just under 2,500 meters. So it covers the lowlands of the Western Ghats as well as the highlands of the Western Ghats. And there's some real animal highlights throughout. So fabulous birding and some fabulous mammals as well. So this is just I've just realised I've spelled Bangalore incorrectly. Sorry about that. So this is roughly the dates of the holiday. The 16th of January, leave Heathrow, and we return on the 1st of February. We fly into Bangalore and we travel from Bangalore to Mysore, which is a beautiful city. It's the cleanest city in India. Great base for the first night. And then we move on to Nagaholi, where we stay in a fantastic hotel. We have 3 nights there. And the rest of the hotels are 2 nights each. So you can see there's quite a lot of moving about, but really sort of beautiful hotels and beautiful landscapes. And it gives you a real sense of the variety of wildlife and habitat that we have in southern India. We fly back from Mumbai. So we have a night in Mumbai before we leave. So again, back to the maps, and so Bangalore in the middle in red, then we travel southeast to Mysore, and then we travel down to Cochin and the backwaters of Kerala backwaters, and then we fly from Kerala backwaters up to Mumbai and then home. So this is just a typical picture of driving through Mysore. You can see these beautiful trees. I think these are called rain trees. They're very fragile, but they're absolutely stunning trees, and they cast a great shadow. So they kind of provide a bit of shade when you're walking and when you're driving through the city. And these are throughout the city. So we have a first night there, and if time allows, it does depend on traffic, but there's a marvellous palace there, which I hope we'll have time to visit. Mysore famous, as many of you will know, for its sandalwood, which actually doesn't grow in Mysore, but it's processed here. Again, just some typical sights and sounds of India. Cows in the street. I don't know how many of you have been to India before, but this is a regular sight. And throughout the presentation, I'm just going to show you some pictures of what we see as we're traveling, which I always think is sort of a real way of getting to understand the culture of a place, as well as the wildlife. We're obviously we're looking for and enjoying the culture. This lady and her cow, the cow actually put its head inside the window as we were stopping at traffic lights, but it was rather impressive. So from Mysore, we stay in a hotel, and our first excursion into wildlife watching, as well as when we're driving to Mysore, we actually got quite a good list driving from Bangalore to Mysore earlier this year. But our first excursion is to a small wetland reserve, which has got a very impressive number of birds. So we take a small boat out on this lake. Around the lake, there's lots of wonderful trees full of smaller birds. But it's a chance to get sort of familiar with some of the birds that we might bump into during the course of the week, the fortnight. But also lots of great views of water birds. But as we're driving in, the couple of birds that we really enjoyed, one was this wire-tailed swallow. Absolutely stunning bird. You can see its little red cap, and obviously you can see why it's called a wire-tailed swallow. And also violet sunbird. As so often happens, the birds don't pose for us. They show us their back or back end or their underside when we want to take a photograph. But because of this beautiful sort of the metallic violet blue against these sort of smoky leaves, I couldn't resist taking that. And finally, we did get a view of the bird looking towards us. So onwards to our boat trip. So open bill stork all around. They were nesting at this time of year. Night heron, great views of night heron. Eurasian spoonbill. Always lovely to see those, and actually great to see them so close as well. And this is me just saying with my point and shoot, but so very obliging. More open bill storks. You can see huge numbers and very busy at the nest. Few flying foxes as well. Spot-bill pelican breed around the lake. And painted storks. These are just beautiful birds. Just look at the markings on the sides of those wings and those incredible pink legs. It does look like somebody's actually just taken a paintbrush out, doesn't it, and put some random colours on. A marsh crocodile. I actually thought this looked like a model. It was so still, but a huge crocodile, magnificent. So from there, we sort of had a beautiful morning just cruising around the lake and enjoying the birds there. But then we set off to our next destination. And these were just shots that I've taken as we're traveling. Always for me, like to find a bit of colour. And how beautiful does this look? A few plastic buckets all piled neatly creates quite a show. Magnificent churches, just incredible, actually. Huge churches, which must cost a fortune to maintain and build, especially in a country where there is a lot of poverty. And a lot of people worry about going to India because of the poverty, but actually the southern part of India, it's a much richer country, and there's high employment and great educational standards. So where we're aiming for here, you can see Bangalore in the middle and Mysore just above the black arrow there. So what we're aiming for here is a tiger reserve called Nagaholi. So we're working our way south, and this is just sort of on the border between Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Kerala. I didn't take this picture, just saying. But isn't it a beautiful picture? We did not see tiger, and there were various reasons for that, but we were on jeep safari, and on our Speyside wildlife holiday, we will be on, I think we've got 3 jeep safaris. The jeep in front of us did see tiger, and tiger are seen in the off season around the hotel grounds, which is, I'm not sure whether it feels exciting or anxiety provoking. I found it quite exciting, knowing that they probably aren't going to be there when we're there, but actually they do when all the visitors have gone. So this is us driving into the reserve, sort of dry forest area with grassland alongside. So we take a slow drive through here, looking to see what we can see. And actually there were quite a lot of mammals as we were going through. It was midday, early afternoon, so not a lot of birds. We were seeing Nilgiri giant squirrel. Samba deer, beautiful and confiding deer. You can see they're not too worried about us driving through. And this is our hotel, the hotel grounds, I should say. The hotel is, this is one of the favorite places that I stayed in. So it's set in grounds. Lower down, we've got coffee plantation, but above we've got rainforest trees. So they provide shade for the coffee plantation. And from our point of view, absolutely brilliant for birding. So in the early morning, the trees are just full of birds moving around, orioles, minivets, woodpeckers, just vernal hanging parrots, bee-eaters, just sort of like moving around in the canopy. Absolutely beautiful. And the hotel, there are different chalets around in the grounds, and we can get transported from the chalets in golf buggies up to the restaurant, or we can just walk and enjoy. So really beautiful accommodation. This was just early morning, having a coffee before we went out birding. Looking through the trees, you can see again the sort of lowland is below us. We've got coffee plantation, and above these beautiful rainforest trees. This is the accommodation again, individual chalets with ensuite facilities, beautifully decorated. And then we go out onto the reserve and had some fabulous views of these southwestern langurs, a number of different langurs, all quite similar to look at, and a great photograph opportunity. The langurs were just along the road edge, and so great chance to see them really well, as were the samba deer, absolutely beautiful deer. So this was a hind. This was a stag with his rather magnificent, look a little bit too big for him, don't they, actually, those antlers? And an animal I was really excited to see, this is a dhole, a type of wild dog, and they hunt in packs. They're quite sort of formidable hunters, actually, although they're very small, probably just a wee bit bigger than our red foxes. Because they hunt in packs, they're able to take down deer, so they're quite impressive, beautiful animals, not at all interested in us, just getting on with their business. Again, not my photograph, but this is a really good place to look for leopards. So I mentioned that when we were on the Jeep safari, the Jeep in front of us had actually seen tiger. I mean, when I say in front of us, I mean like a few yards in front of us. But the tiger had moved away, so they are very present. In fact, the numbers have increased dramatically, which is really healthy and good to hear. I think Julian had actually researched this holiday a few years ago when tiger numbers were much lower. So chances of seeing tiger are much greater now. Leopard is another animal that you can see really well, and we were very lucky. We did manage to see a leopard. You can see it hiding in the grass. And I did manage to get a photograph. Again, not a prize winner, but I did manage to get a photograph. Absolutely beautiful. It was a young leopard. Just went across the road in front of the vehicle. Other animals we would hope to see in Nagaholi Tiger Reserve are Indian elephant. And we were lucky. We did see Indian elephant. There were actually two or three here, but one of them decided to have a dust bath in the middle of the road, which delayed us for about 3/4 of an hour. But if you're being delayed by an elephant, who cares? He was quite a distance away, so not best photographs, but nonetheless, a record shot just to prove that there are elephants there, and there are a lot of elephants on the reserve. This was just on the road through the reserve rather than the safari. So back to the accommodation. Really enjoy this, really sad to leave, and really lovely staff. Excellent food. And I'll just say a bit about food and temperature here. So throughout the holiday, I would say the temperature was pretty bearable. We did get hot at times, but throughout we were not boiling hot. We were not uncomfortably hot for prolonged periods of time. We were actually because we do go up to altitude, so it's obviously much cooler then. And we also, much to my relief, were not troubled unduly by insects. Obviously, we need to be aware of mosquitoes, but they were not a big nuisance, which was a great relief. Of course, different years, different seasons, different weather, it can change, but just saying that. And the other thing to say was food. Amazingly, I actually haven't got any photographs of food for this talk, which I usually include lots of pictures of food. The Indian food is absolutely sublime. I am one that enjoys Indian food and cook a lot of Indian food. But the hotels that we've chosen for this trip do provide different kinds of food. So we can accommodate people who are not so keen on Indian food. This isn't the best photograph, but I had to take it anyway. This is something that I have seen. I think it must have been BBC Wildlife magazine. I presume you can see what this is. It's a row of chestnut-headed bee-eaters, all keeping warm, and they gradually start to part over way as it all starts to get a bit warmer. If someone had got a better camera, they would have got an amazing view of this. But I was very thrilled to see it and just wanted to share it. So this was in the tall trees in amongst the accommodation above the coffee plantation. So we leave Nagaholi Reserve, and this is just as sorts of things that we see when we're traveling from one place to another. So goat herdsman just buy some water with some glossy ibis. Numerous street stalls selling incredible vegetables, some of which are recognizable, some of which are not. Lots of bananas. And we saw this bird perched in a tree, and I've had lots of debate about what it was. It's amazing. We get used to identifying birds when they're in flight. This bird was sitting there, easy to see. We couldn't work out what it was. We decided in the end it was a tawny eagle, but some may question that. But we decided that's what it was. So we're starting to go up into the mountains here, away from the coffee plantations, now into tea plantations. And here we are heading to Ooty Hill Station. And here there are a number of endemics, and this is one of them, black and orange flycatcher, little beauty. So we spend quite a bit of time looking for endemics in this area. Bit cooler, very comfortable temperature, to be honest. Hotel with beautiful views. And Gur, I have a bit of a thing about these. I think they're just magnificent beasts. And these were just not batting an eye. They were just sort of like ambling around like they were farm animals, really. I have to say that I would not want to get too close to them because I'm sure that if you do, they're not that happy. But we just saw these on the roadside. This is one in the early morning sun. Some common miners here, just seeing if they can find anything amongst the fur. This one, totally chilled. So looking across here, this is the sort of, I'm looking across to our hotel. So this is tea plantations you can see, and if you look across at the back of the photograph in the middle, you can see a white building, which is the hotel we'll be staying in. So conversely, we'll be looking back at this view, beautiful view of rolling hills and mountains. Other birds we expect to see. Now, this is Indian blackbird. You can see it's a sort of grayish color, really handsome bird. This is one of the endemics, Nilgiri pipit. Another endemic, Nilgiri laughing thrush. Painted bush quail. And this is just the sort of, again, the sort of terrain. You can see it's sort of some small areas of rainforest, mature woodland, but lots of cultivated areas too. But in the middle of this picture, can you all see? This is black eagle, one of my favorite birds. Love black eagle. Gradually came over us, giving us a pretty good view. Look at those beautiful primaries all splayed at the end. So this is just as we were traveling to our next accommodation, and our next accommodation I did not go to. It's an area called Valparaiso, and this is our target species here. This is gosh, what is it? It's a lion. It's lion mane macaque. Rather a handsome beast. And there's lots of great birding around our next accommodation too. So I did not go here, but we are going to be going on this trip because it's obviously it's an incredible animal to see. So we go off to Valparaiso for 2 nights, and then we continue coming back into some of the hill areas, but en route we stop off at a couple of spots, and on one location in the middle of the picture, eagle owl. 2 eagle owls, actually. So this was just somewhere we stopped on the way that our driver knew there were eagle owls nesting. This is the sort of views we can expect. I'm sorry, these are a bit blurred, actually. I don't know why that is, but we're driving into the hilly areas, but stop at Chinar National Park. And in Chinar, we're looking for a variety of different species. One of them is a grizzled giant squirrel. We're looking for blue-bearded bee-eater here and star tortoise. It's a beautiful area of woodland. We did see blue-eared bee-eater here. Common kingfisher. And we also saw the tufted grey langur, which is in the area. So a really lovely, relaxing stop. And there are lots of birds in this location that we might not get anywhere else. So then these are just again roadside sites. This was a group of ladies at a church who were all cooking a particular kind of banana porridge. So you can see there's lots of pots on the ground. And we stopped and just had a look, and the gentleman here with the sunglasses beckoned us over to tell us what was happening. And we generally found people very welcoming and very friendly, wanting to explain things to us and wanting to show us things. Again, just the sort of thing that this is on one of the temples. I took this, of course, because of the colours. These ladies negotiating carrot prices, I think, but I just love the green and the pink and the orange. And here we are going up to, this time we're going up to hill station of Muna. Again, lots of tea plantations, perfectly manicured. There was nobody picking tea at this time. I don't know whether that was to do with the season. And this is our hotel in Muna. That's my pal Janet. We didn't stay here. We didn't stay anywhere quite as posh as this, but we did go to inspect it on your behalf. And I have to say, we were quite impressed. Sorry, this is a bit blurred, but this is the dining room looking out over the hills. And this is the bedroom. There are different styles of bedroom, but they were all pretty much the same with a fireplace, I'll have you know, because it does cool off up in the hills, but very nice to have a fireplace. As you can see, beautiful, very nice ensuite bedrooms. And this was the view, looking down to the pool. And then these are the terraces in front of the rooms. So in this area, we were again looking for various endemics. This one, absolutely delightful, Nilgiri flycatcher, quite obliging. And this also was quite obliging. Actually, it took us ages to find this white-bellied shortwing, but once we found it, it kind of stayed where it was. It was sort of tucked in low in the undergrowth, but we did manage to get some decent photographs. Well, half decent photographs. I'm sure others could do better, but anyway, again, record shots just to give you a sort of idea of what we can see. Um, Quite pleased with this one. This grey-breasted laughing thrush having a bit of a bathe in the sun. And this is one of the target species here. This is Nilgiri tar, which is a type of wild goat. It's an endangered mammal, and there's an area here where they're protected. And it's actually a beautiful walk. It's quite a touristy area, so a lot of local people go to walk on the hill here. So it was quite nice to meet a lot of people. They were quite interested in what we were doing. So we had lots of chats, and we were offered food and sweets, and had photographs taken. It was quite a lot of fun actually. But the purpose of going was to see this rather fabulous endemic mammal, endangered endemic mammal. And whilst we're in Muna, we're doing some walking in different areas, looking for different species. And I'm showing the species that I was able to photograph really. So vernal hanging parrot, quite a common species, very photogenic. This is just habitat shots, and I thought I'd just show you this one again. Obviously, I took this for the color, but these are the guys sort of, you can see how wrapped up they are. So it definitely is much cooler at these higher altitudes. But there's still lots of bananas, all shapes, all sizes, all delicious. Lovely ladies out for a walk, and of course a tuk-tuk. And we move on now to another area. This is, I don't think I pronounce this correctly, but I call it Thatakad. It's one of the best birding areas in India. And we stay at this beautiful hotel, much more traditional hotel. This is our accommodation again, beautiful rooms. And a beautiful setting overlooking this lake. The lake was a roosting area for egrets, so they all came in the evening, and then they'd do a great sort of like an egret murmuration. But a beautiful base to explore the area, and actually lots of birding to be had from the accommodation. There were some dead trees opposite, and they were great perching places. We've got dollar bird perching. And this was just a group of ashy wood swallows, and I've just realised that I've got them all perched on that branch. And there's one just at the very bottom of the photograph here, was just taking flight. But you could actually just sit there all day looking to see what comes into this tree. There was all sorts. Lots of wetland here, so great place to look for kingfishers, white-breasted kingfishers, whistling duck. And this was a real surprise to me. I don't know if you can all see it. This is totally my most rubbish photograph. I just basically pointed the camera into this bit of dark wood, hoping I'd get a picture. And of course, it's a rubbish picture, but it's an Indian pitta. And so I was a bit thrilled. So you can hardly see it. But again, decent camera and a great bird to see whether you get a photograph or not. I was just thrilled to see that. Who doesn't love a pitta? Just beautiful birds. Beautiful forest. Here's my pal Janet just showing you the size of the tree. The trees in the forest. And when we were in the forest, we went to an area where there's a big feeding tree where we had This is Malabar giant squirrel. I don't know if you noticed that the other squirrel's got a pale base to the tail or tip to the tail. This has got a dark tip to the tail. And these trees were absolutely heaving with birds. There was fairy bluebird, there was scarlet minivet, there were different barbets. And in the forest, we found Sri Lankan frogmouth. Again, rubbish photograph, but I'm just showing you the sort of thing that we can expect to find. Malabar trogon. This was another special bird to find in the forest here. And white-bellied woodpecker. This was really lacing into the tree trunk here. You can see all the bits actually all over the place. Jungle owlet, jungle babbler. And off we go again. This time we're heading to the Kerala backwaters, but ladies coming out of the temple. Just sights we see as we're going. And here we are in the Kerala backwaters. So we spend an afternoon or a morning, I'm not sure which, out on the water here. Very relaxing. Just seeing the sights and sounds of the river. And of course, the birds, anhinga, snake bird, beautiful butterfly. Looks unreal, doesn't it? Looks like a child's painted it, coloured it in, kept around the edge, kept in the edges. Common Jezebel, this was called. I had to show you this one. I was quite pleased with that shot. See the kite in the background. So these are the sort of birds you can expect to see on the Kerala, on the backwaters. Little green heron, blue-tailed bee-eater, lots of these. Again, these were just my point and shoot camera, but just enjoying the birds, just being able to sort of wander along and see what's there. My favourites, stork-billed kingfisher. These were white-breasted kingfishers having a bit of a squabble. You can see 3 of them in the tree. There had been 4 or 5. And a white-cheeked barbet. Tree pie. Lots of Chinese pond heron. Some of the sort of common birds you don't always stop and look at. It's just like our birds here. But when you do get a good view of a bird and just stop and look at it, you see the beautiful feathers on the back and that gorgeous sort of lime green on the eye. These are the sorts of channels we'll be going down in our boat, the sort of wider channels. People going about their daily business, so they're bathing, washing, fishing in the river. And then from the backwaters, we're going to head to the city of Fort Kochi, which is a fascinating city. We're really in the sort of old town bit where we can explore, we can do a bit of shopping, we can have clothes made, we can watch the fishermen this is a Chinese fishing net where they lower it into the water in a big net and that pulley system with rocks lifts it back up. I could stand all day actually and watch that. It was fascinating seeing what they caught. And we're in Fort Kochi. You'll have a bit of downtime for yourselves. We've probably got some time to go on a couple of guided tours to some of the local palaces. There's spice markets, there's shops, there's lovely places to eat. There's places to look out for the Pacific humpback dolphins in the bay, or just chill and take in India before we head home. So that is my overview of the holiday. I hope that if you've got any questions, you will ask. We do, of course, realise that people are feeling a bit hesitant to book anything that goes east, but we are planning to run this holiday. We've got 4 people booked on it, so I'm very excited that I'm going to be going back to southern India and doing all of this again. But but doing it sort of seriously birding, whereas me and my pal were just kind of, we were a bit casual. But that said, we actually had, I think we had 190 birds on our list, so we did pretty well. If you're interested in this holiday, but you're feeling a bit hesitant about booking, do let us know. If you've got any questions or worries about booking, please just contact us, have a chat with us, just register your interest. We know times are a bit turbulent just now, but we're still running holidays and very much hoping that we will be going to India in January next year. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being there. And yes, any questions, do feel free to fire away.